So before the internet, we had magazines.
Oh.
And you would get a magazine and you would make a little collage and you clip out your pictures and you take it into your florist and then show from these like bride to be magazines. Very long-winded. So what you saw in the magazine, and they came out maybe once a year, maybe twice a year, and that's all you'd get. And then the internet, and then so Pinterest is fairly-ish new, but wedding blogs. So there'd be ideas on wedding blogs of other people's weddings, like real weddings. And then that sort of all just, so the trends really snowballed from the internet. And they do move quickly, I think. Like it's still seasonal, but they still move quite, like every season there's a new thing, like dried flowers now, preserved, greenery, sort of tropic look, bright, white, like it's quite, you can match the year-ish to the sort of the style, I think, which is fascinating.
Have you ever seen anything come back?
Well, dried flowers are back. This is what's so cool. So in the 90s, when I was a florist, we did lots of, mind you, the style has changed, but the essence of what we're using. So we had baskets with bitty little dried things. Like that was cute. Like that's what people would buy. You'd get that for Mother's Day or you'd give that to your grandma. And now they're back. Wow. But of course they're bigger. Everything's bigger and better when it comes back. So like the big palms and the sort of the better looking dried flowers, to be honest, because in the 90s they're a bit
Welcome to another episode of Yarning with Jannah, and today we have Gabby from Nine Blooms, a wonderful florist from up here in Cairns. So welcome, Gabby. Would you like to introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yes, I would. Hello, my name is Gab. I have been a florist since I was 18, and I started my certificate in Sydney. So floristering for like 5 years, did some traveling, met a guy, got married, started a business, and we ended up in Cairns. So so it's been a long time floristering pretty much the whole time, and wanted to start something for myself because I've always worked for other people. Wanted to bring something, because when we moved up here, I worked for the flower supply business that was currently doing flowers for people up here. I worked for him, and then decided to open up my own business. So here we are 12 years later. So it's my 12th year with Nine Blooms this year. Couldn't be prouder. So yeah, that's me. That's my journey. It's been a long floristry journey. It's all I ever know, and it's what I'm obsessed with. So yeah.
And when you made that jump from going from working for somebody else for so long to making that jump into going to self-employment is exhilarating and terrifying and amazing all at the same time. Did your floristry change?
It did, because I was making stuff that I wanted and not what was required of a shop or of another owner. So it became more what I wanted to see. And because the industry up here, I felt it could have used a little bit more different flavour. I'm not saying the industry was lacking, it's just that I wanted to add a different flavour to the wedding industry up here. So yeah, there's more creativity involved when you're running your own ship.
That's right. I do amazing.
Yeah.
So who do you work with primarily, and like where do they come from, and what makes you different? Obviously, the reason I had you on the show is because I think that you're amazing and you do creative, incredibly, unique sort of stuff. So who do you generally work with?
I work with wedding clients primarily. A lot of them are from down south. A few of them are from Cairns, but I think the high majority of my clients come from down south. I do a few events on the side, but mainly it's just wedding people, because they're where I like to weave my magic, and they're the people that I love to work with, because it's a whole shebang, the wedding stuff. And I think what makes me different, it's tough. It's tough to quantify. I think moving with what they like and what looks good and what works for them, and I don't know, it's a tricky one. It's I like to do my best. I don't know.
How do they find you generally? How do wedding people?
Referrals are huge. Like I can say hand on heart, no, my heart's here, hand on heart, I've never advertised my business.
Right.
So before Facebook arrived and Instagram and all the more accessible online things, I literally never needed to, because once the work started, the referrals started, and I really wanted to always start off and maintain a beautiful relationship with everyone that I work with, knowing that if I'm helpful, they're helpful, and it just becomes this beautiful relationship. So I got referred to a lot. Photographers, celebrants, that clients just got sent to me from there. And then, you know, Google, and then now Instagram is mostly the referral avenue. But yeah, word of mouth, it's like, it's huge. It's important.
Yeah, well, if you're doing something amazing, people hear about it, then I think that's, for a creative, that's huge to have that validation. You're like, yeah, I must be all right.
It's weird. Like, being creative is so weird. It's like so enjoyable, but like, what do you want me? What? Like, it's like, ew, it's so magical and magnetic, this whole idea of being chosen to do something beautiful for somebody. Like, that is huge, and it still is huge. Like, I still go, what? Like, it's lovely.
How we got here. So do you find that there's tell me about the uniqueness of what you do is, I guess it's not your normal kind of little bouquets in the ball. I'm sure that used to happen, but I guess what makes you unique as far as, you know, creating your bouquets?
I like to, so yeah, the ball bouquets were trending back in the day. And if you didn't have a ball bouquet, something was wrong with you. Everyone just had that. That was the shape, and it had been the shape for a very long time. And I found myself, you know, when things don't adhere to you and it rubs you the wrong way, and you sort of, I felt repelled by them. I made them. I did them. I did them, but I could never do them perfectly because it wasn't aligning with how I think but flowers should be held. So I would try 3 times as much to get that beautiful round shape, but it never came naturally to me, because I think flowers need to have that expansive, organic, like they're growing out of your hand sort of feel. And the more that customers asked for that, the more I just said, yes, unstructured and like just picked, and all these buzzwords that started to come up. That excites me, because that's what's happening now, and that's what looks better. Not discounting the round bouquets or any other style, but it just feels more natural to hold a bouquet that looks like it's growing organically. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It makes a lot of sense.
So I think rolling with that, and then that then flows onto table centerpieces, ceremony flowers, and like arbor flowers that sort of are growing off the arbor structure instead of just stack up there like a bit of plastic. I don't know, like the whole thing needs to flow with that feeling of growing organically, you know.
Where did that trend start? I'm interested to know where it started, and is there a difference between, was it the interstate brides that were asking you for this trend, or was it the local brides?
I think it was a bit of both. I want to say more so the interstate, only because I work with them more. But with the advent of Pinterest and the internet and things that move the needle quite quickly, the trend for that moved in quite quickly. In saying that though, back in the day, 60s-ish, there was this traily sort of style of bouquet. So we're not really going back into that, but we are definitely moving into that expansive sort of style. It's a even mix of who's asking for it, yeah. And it depends on the client and what, because some clients are like, please don't make it too pokey outy. And I'm like, okay, I feel that, because some flowers can go too far, and others are like, go crazy. I love how it pokes out everywhere. So it's personal choice too.
And all right, so how did trends start? Because we have had a chat previously, and for trends to come about back in the day, to move away from that round bouquet to where we are now was quite a long time, but it's going around a bit quicker now. Yeah. And so how do they?
I think when we spoke before, we talked about necessity. So, for example, the rustic story that we talked about with the fact that people wanted to DIY and really roll it back and sort of do things by themselves, it blew up with the jar flowers and the hessian and the using your family's barn. So that was a necessity thing, and just keeping it DIY and simple. Necessity, and also just trending would come from sometimes celebrities too. So like the Kardashian flower wall, like that was like, that can set off, like a celebrity does something, or someone who's prominent in society, they do something and everyone just goes, give me that. So there's this, I think she's a model in Sydney, her name's Pia. I can't pronounce her last name, I'm not going to even try, but she had these beautiful dried leaf structures that were huge, and so many clients have requested the same thing. So she's big-ish in the society, and I think that's sort of, that sets trends too, the people of prominence,
yeah,
but also the necessity people and the people who just go, I just want to do something different.
And where does that, I mean, we're not all celebrities.
No,
we're always going there to start a trend, but I guess when it comes to bucking the trend and doing something different because that's what you want and that's what you believe in, where do you think that courage comes from, to have that courage to do that?
I definitely know for sure that this comes from looking within and going, where do my values lie? What do I want? What do I want to see? What rubs me the right way? And people who have that clarity of vision, they're the ones that go, I want that. I want that one. They're those ones, because they're not blindly, and they're very strong-willed enough to not run with the pack and be okay to turn their back on societal norms, to go, I want that. I don't want that, because I've looked within and I've spent time inside and going, what do I value? What do I love? What aligns with me? That's what we're going to choose. So that's a huge one, I think. And that goes with any sort of choice, like even with your flower choices, colorings, instead of just blindly going where Pinterest pictures that you're, or the internet or flower blogs or wedding blogs or whatever. It's about going within.
It's interesting, isn't it? There is so much on Pinterest, and you might actually feel like you're doing something different, but a lot of the time you're still in that same place, aren't we?
Yeah.
And there's, I think when you look at the psychology of doing something different, when it comes back to pack animals, it's like, if I do something different, it's like, it is a weird psychological thing. It's like, I exclude myself from the pack, I'm going to get eaten by tigers. And that's not a good way.
It is so true. This is what makes it so terrifying, but it takes that tenacity to move forward regardless. So just as a side note, I decided to have a home birth for my youngest daughter. She's 10 now, so it was 10 years ago. I got a lot of blowback, lot of blowback for my decision. And that just goes to show that I literally turned my back on the pack of what you normally would do for a birth, and I played my own drum and worked out great. So, and then these decisions that people make, people see them and go, oh, she did that thing, I want to do that thing. So it's just takes some tenacity, and just
permission. Isn't it funny that so we see somebody else do something and say, oh, I think that's amazing, and then you almost give yourself the permission in order to do that same thing, although you never needed to have that permission.
No, you didn't. And you know what, and it's so, like, at the moment with what's happening right now, someone speaking out against the injustices of everything, and then that gives you permission or the okay to go, actually, I need to say something too about this, da 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 da. So it's psychology is.
You never know who your pack is until someone stands
up. Oh, that is true too. That is true too. Yeah.
Do you think though? Do you think that as humans we worry too much about what other people think about our decisions more than we actually need to? I mean, home birth's that's a different kind of kettle of fish, but like normal everyday stuff, like do we care, especially when it comes to wedding planning? Do we care too much?
Yeah, I don't know why that is. I literally would love to know why we put so much emphasis on caring about our decisions and what we're making for our wedding and what we're choosing and who's coming and, you know, will they worry about this, that and the other. I think, and maybe it comes down to acceptance or whatever, I don't know. I just think it makes me sad that we have, and like myself, if I've had a party, if I'm having a party, I worry about, will the guests be okay? And will the kids, is there enough for the kids to play with? Like, I'm just worrying about others more so than just trying to work out what I need for myself and for my own wedding. Because weddings are big, huge investment of your time and your money and your resources, and to have all your people there and just wasting your time and worrying about what others are thinking is really sad, I think. It's like, why do we do that? Why are we not connecting within and going, why, you know?
Why? What's important?
Yes. What's important to me, and then going forth with that, leading with that, and then everything else just falls into place if we really keep it simple.
Yeah. Those that matter don't mind, and those that mind don't matter.
Yes. I haven't heard that for years. I love that saying. That's completely true.
Yeah. So a lot of our brides that come onto Album Registry for a different gift giving option, the photo gift registry.
Yeah.
They're a little bit nervous about asking their loved ones to give to professional photography or a print product. And it's an interesting space for them to ask, even though people want to give, and even though it's quite a strange one to go through. But if we go back to a time before the wishing well, which was the cash fund, it was very much gift giving, and then there was this shift, and then so this idea of making the shift again can be quite, I guess, a little bit nerve-wracking for brides. And I wondered whether you had any advice on how to feel confident about having that conversation.
I think, again, it comes down to values, but we'll get back to that in a second. So I think I've spoken to wedding planners throughout the years, and they have said, yes, you know, presents were given. Now there's a wishing well, or more like a card box. A wishing well is a little bit sort of out. Card boxes, you put your money in a card and you pop it in. Because people, especially in this area, and especially the interstate brides, they're not wanting to come up with presents in order for the guest to leave with presents. Like, that doesn't make any sense. No, the guest, you know what I mean? So the guests buying for the bride and groom and then having to take them home. Also giving money is, I don't know, that can be icky. Like, I've always found, like, it's for kids' birthdays, you put money in an envelope, and you're like, is that enough or too much? Like, there's a conundrum there. I'm like, am I not? I don't. That's tough. The thing is, though, destination brides are asking their guests to come on holidays with them and have a wedding at the same time, effectively. So therefore, they are feeling somewhat funny about, because of the investment that they're asking their guests to spend, you know, not wanting them to ask of them any more presents or don't send cards or anything. But the thing is, on top of that, is that people always want to give anyway. People are always, you'll say, no, nothing, no presents, don't bring anything. People still want to give something. And therefore, with a registry, gift registry, album registry, there's that option to go, hey, we don't want anything, but if you do really feel the need to give us something, stick the money in here. And for me personally, I would love to be able to do that than to try and work out what's a good amount of money to pop into an envelope and put into a guest book, like a wishing well. Like that just makes sense to me. Like it's just stick the funds in there and then away you go, because people are always going to want to give.
No matter what.
Something. Even when they say, like, you go to a barbecue, please don't bring anything. You have to get chocolates or like a bottle of wine, or you have to.
What is that?
Like,
what is
it's
that?
like a cultural, you have to do it. It's like this friendship / something or other. It's like you turn up empty. That's dodgy. You have to have something.
I just had an epiphany. I'm like, is it the same pack mentality of doing something different and being afraid of being pushed out, and then if not doing what you're expected to culturally do, I wonder whether it comes from the same place.
That is a good one.
That is.
Because there's a lot of emotion under there, and guilt and shame and embarrassment and all these things of doing the different thing.
Wow. Going against
Yeah.
Rocking up empty-handed. It feels
icky.
Sure.
Yeah. But I also think, going back to the values thing with clients who are wanting to choose the registry, it's about maybe even being clear with in your invite section or whatever, and just saying, this is what we would love forever. Like this isn't a toaster or money that we'll spend on whatever. This is something that we value and that we'll cherish forever. That only makes sense for you. If you want to gift it here. So I spoke to my sister-in-law. She got married a few years ago, and her and her husband wanted to travel on a baby moon, because they were just about to have a baby. And they're like, right, people were coming from interstate, and she said to them, we know you're spending a lot of money. We don't want anything, but if you feel the need to give us something, please put money into this travel fund. And there was no one arced up or made comments. They just did, or they did not. That was and people still turned up with presents, even though she said, please, no presents. Right? So her value, she wanted to travel with her husband and pre-born baby. That's what they did with the funds that went into that travel fund for their registry, their travel registry. It made sense for them, and that's what they did.
Yeah. How does she feel about asking? Because that's different as well. It's not, I wouldn't say very popular. It is popular.
Yeah, because I'd never heard it ever before. Yeah. I know gift registries have been around for a while, but it's still like, it's a thing. Like it's an item that it's a consumerism item, whereas travel or an album is something a bit deeper, I think.
A bit deeper.
That's what I think.
And I notice this as well, as people become very invested in that thing as well. They become very invested in the photography. They become very invested in wanting to see the photos afterwards.
Yeah,
I think
that's huge.
Yeah. How did your sister feel about asking people in the first place? Was she a little bit nervous, or?
She wasn't, because she gave a choice. She basically said, please no gifts, but if you want to gift something, give us money into this account.
Okay. And was that a verbal communication, or was that clearly in the invitations? I
believe she had put it in the invite.
Yeah.
And I believe, actually, if I'm honest, when I saw that, I was a bit like, because I'd never seen that before. I don't get invited to a lot of weddings. So when I saw that, I was a bit taken aback. So this is why I was curious about how she thought about asking.
Yeah.
So at first glance, I'm like, oh, what? And then I'm like, actually, that makes a whole lot of sense, because she doesn't want anything. And yet this money sends her around Australia with her man before her baby is born. Like it made complete sense.
Made complete sense. And I think you're just going to do what you're told to as well, aren't you?
Yeah, you are. But then sometimes you're just going to do what you want to do anyway. So this is why she gave the choice. Please nothing, but if you want to give something, here is this. And that means people were coming up from Victoria and from Sydney and Brisbane didn't have to worry about bringing anything, because they just popped the money in and then arrived, and then it went to a good cause.
Yeah.
And that idea I love.
I love it. Yeah. I think being clear about what it is that you want is so important. what you want people to do. And at the end of the day, people will do the thing that that you're asking for, you know, not just interstate brides, but local brides as well.
Yeah.
So if you ask
Yeah.
your friends and family to do the thing, they're going to do the thing.
It's like this special dance. Like you're invited to a wedding, and the wedding people who are getting married are asking you of this. So even if it's everyone to wear white, you're going to wear white because you're heading toward their wedding, and this is what they're asking you to do. Or you're having a 50th birthday party or something, and you're asked to wear a fancy dress. You're going to do that because the guests, the people holding the event are asking that. So that's, you're following suit, and you're doing, it's like a dance. They say this, you do this, come together, everyone's happy and everyone has a party. So it's like symbiotic. Like one asks, one delivers, and then that's how it's been.
No ambiguity.
No, especially when you are, what's the word? Clear with your intention. This is what we would like.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
People love that. Just show me what you want, and then I don't have to think.
Right. People need direction, especially like I wish that kids' birthday parties invitations would come with a list of presents to buy. Hey, my daughter wants this, this, and this, please. Right, sweet. I've got some direction. I can go get that from the shop, and then we can, without going to the shops and go, what am I going to get this girl?
Nerf.
You know,
Nerf guns. Nerf
give
bullets.
me some direction. Yeah.
Oh. So how quickly do trends change in floristry?
I want to say quicker now than earlier, right? So before the internet, we had magazines.
Oh.
And you would get a magazine and you would make a little collage and you clip out your pictures and you take it into your florist and then show from these like bride-to-be magazines. Very long-winded. So what you saw in the magazine, and they came out maybe once a year, maybe twice a year, and that's all you'd get. And then the internet, and then so Pinterest is fairly-ish new, but wedding blogs. So there'd be ideas on wedding blogs of other people's weddings, like real weddings. And then that's sort of all just, so the trends really snowballed from the internet. And they do move quickly, I think. Like it's still seasonal, but they still move quite, like every season there's a new thing, like dried flowers now, preserved, greenery, sort of tropic look, bright, white. Like it's quite, you can match the year-ish to the sort of the style, I think, which is fascinating.
Have you ever seen anything come back?
Well, dried flowers are back. This is what's so cool. So in the 90s, when I was a florist, we did lots of, mind you, the style has changed, but the essence of what we're using. So we had baskets with bitty little dried things. Like that was cute. Like that's what people would buy. You'd get that for Mother's Day, or you'd give that to your grandma. And now they're back. Wow. But of course they're bigger. Everything's bigger and better when it comes back. So like the big palms and the sort of the better looking dried flowers, to be honest, because in the 90s they're a bit but you know, so the dried flowers, things come back, like flares come back, 90s styles come back, you know, it all just cyclical.
Oh, isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
Shoulder pads stay where they are though.
I don't know. There could be like, I think I could really work a shoulder pad. I think I have.
I think you could too, actually.
Yeah. There's things that definitely could come back, and yeah, there's some that can stay where they were. Like fondue. Let's not go there. There's so many things that we could lament at the moment, but yeah, let's not.
What trends do you see shifting in a post-COVID world? Weddings in general, not just floristry. Like, what do you see happening?
This is a good one because of where we're at in history, of course. So I've been thinking that perhaps like the general look of a wedding. So we might be going from quite formal sit down things to like a cocktail style. This is just in my brain. I'm just musing things in my brain. So smaller weddings, local weddings, and then differenting, like really relaxing the type of eating, like they're getting rid of the formal type sit down thing, but less people, more localized. Which is good and bad. I heard that the localized weddings is good and bad, because we get a lot of people in our region from elsewhere, which is so great, and continuing to be so great, because the guests that come up for this wedding, they love it so much, they come back the next year, and it sort of just, it keeps refueling the industry. So it being local makes sense because of the border sort of restrictions and whatever. But yeah, these are the things, and just being more intentional with your decisions. That's what I think. I'm not sure if anyone, I've spoken to a lot of people when I see them on the street. I'm like, how have you been feeling about this whole COVID thing? And 2 women actually yesterday that I saw in the shops, they both said, we feel like we've pressed a reset button. So we've pressed this reset button, everything feels quite like drawn back, and now we're able to be intentional with our time. Do I want to do that? I don't want to do that anymore. I feel like rushing around too much. That used to drive me mad. I don't want to be on this treadmill. So I think being intentional with our decisions is what's going to set the tone for weddings, especially for everything, but for weddings too. Like, what's more important to us? Was it that 150 guest count, or actually we just needed 50 people that we love? Let's just invite those.
And it's
a lot of things.
COVID gave us the permission to have that conversation of, actually, you know what, 150 can't make it, we're going to have 30. And it's like, if that's what you wanted,
yeah,
you can have that.
Reset. Yeah. It's the permission. It's like, this is, and I heard this podcast while I was doing my shopping yesterday, and the chick was talking about COVID has been like an energy, or like a universal push to wake us up. So what are you doing actually? Is this what you want? And it's been able to enable us to reset and reimagine, and just rethink what we want and how we want it. So it's bittersweet, this COVID thing, I think.
Yes, it's definitely, it's very devastating, obviously, for those.
Oh, for sure. Like, this is
the economy.
Yeah.
A lot of that.
Yeah. Yes.
Definitely the opportunity to wake up and to reassess. And I guess people who have moved their weddings to next year, it's going to be a very busy year next year for weddings, isn't it?
Yes, it will be.
Yeah.
Yes, it will be, because we are accommodating this year's as well as next year's. So there'll be a lot of, trying to squeeze people in, but also trying to let people know that they can choose other dates in the week, like other days in the week. Like, that's okay too. Like, no one's going to remember if you had a Tuesday wedding. They'll just go to your wedding and enjoy and have fun, and that's,
again, you're asking something different. How have you found brides, like, when you do encourage that, or you suggest that? What is the reaction of brides?
They're open, because they understand the predicament that we're all in. It's not just the vendors, it's the client, it's the area, it's everything. So they're understanding of what will work best for everybody. There are, of course, some clients that just are dead set on a specific date, and therefore that date falls on a weekend, and they're going to want to hold on to that, and that's completely respectable. If that's what you want, I'm there for that. Others are quite bendy and will just know, hey, Thursday is going to be way better for everybody, let's book that in. And I think that's helpful. And also, it's okay. Like, it's okay, especially when you're coming from down south, to have an any day of the week wedding, because it turns into a bit of a holiday anyway. So beginning of the week, end of the week, middle of the week, it's all, you're coming up for a holiday. So really, even if you are living here, it's like, it could be like an extended long weekend sort of scenario. So you can make it work in your favor, I think.
It'd be interesting to see whether that sticks as well going forward.
The weekday, like the other day.
Yeah.
I hope so, just for variety. I don't know. I think because it's a party thing, and you generally party on the weekend, right? Like, a wedding is a party, it's a big party. I think that's the general thing. But I find if you're going to choose a weekday wedding, that normally is the people that are coming from down south, because they're coming up for a week, for a holiday anyway. So it doesn't matter if the wedding's on a Monday or a Sunday or Saturday, they're up for the holiday. So makes no difference.
All right, I could chat all day. But
Yes.
So
I could too, like I really could.
Where can we find you, Gabby? Tell us just a little bit, like what's in the near future. We've got brides that are listening. We've got our listeners here. Like, what can they do? Some advice.
Okay.
Where can we find you?
Okay, so they can find me at my website, www.nineblooms.com.au. I'm on Instagram at 9blooms, all one word. Facebook's the same, 9blooms everywhere. I've got a YouTube channel under my own name, which I have little videos on, which is cute. All my daughter's friends subscribe, so I've got 4 subscribers so far. My daughter makes her friends subscribe. But just for tutorials and stuff that I did in COVID. Moving forward, I am looking at cultivating my beautiful people for the end of this year. So September, October, November, August to November. I'm looking after my beautiful people that have held on so tight, wondering what the future was going to bring, and they're ready. They've been chopping in the bit and they're ready to get married at the end of the year, and I'm excited for them. So I'm looking forward to that. And then reservicing all my 2021 clients from this year over there. I'm also trying to actually do a shout out on my Instagram to the brides that didn't have their date met this year. So I've done about 3 already, and I think that's like a blessing. It's like, I know that today was your day, and I hope that you're doing something special for your day, like a lunch or champagne, or just something to say it was going to be today because of the powers that be. This is what's happening, and let's have a lunch. Or I think honouring that is important.
That's a beautiful idea.
I think it's really special because I'm thinking of them because they're my people. I get heavily invested in my people, and they're not having their day, and it makes me sad. So I want to reach out. My heart is too big.
Do you want to come on?
I'm obsessed with my people. So yeah.
Crying with Jannah. I'm gonna change it from yarning to Jannah to weeping with Jannah. We think about
like a subsection, and we can talk about all the sad things and just get our tissues out. And I'm there for that. I cry at the drop of a hat. I'm there for that.
Oh, same. Or happy things that make you cry.
Oh my God, music that gives me tingles, and then my eyes start watering. Like, it's involuntary. I don't know what it is. It just happens.
Empathy, darling, empathy.
It is like, it's too much. Like, I'm overloaded with it, and it comes out my eyes. You see?
I have raging empathy. I kind of look at something, so I'm like, oh God, yeah.
Yeah.
We have to wrap this up. We're going to go into like some. I'll tell you, like, and then I saw someone, and then I can feel that. Anyway, synesthesia. Anyway, we're going to have to cut this.
Yeah, let's wrap it up. It's been a pleasure chatting with you, and I hope I could share some decent information for your people.
Thank you so much. It was wonderful. Always a pleasure.